All right, guys. So today I'm going to be addressing a question that I got from one of my patients recently, and it's a question that I get quite often. And so I thought it'd be good to hop on here and kind of explain it. So the question is, when should I be pushing through discomfort or pain? When is the cutoff? How do I know if this is something that I should be trying to push through, if it's something that I should stop that activity, and kind of what are some guidelines and rules to go by to make sure that you're not making an injury worse. Okay, so it's a very good question. All right, so big thing is one of the most important questions to determine this is, does the pain get worse as you continue that activity? So for example, let's say that for runners, before you go for a run, you're at zero pain, and then at like, let's say a quarter mile, you're at like a one, and then by the first mile, you are at pain 2 out of 10, and then as it continues to increase mile after mile, um, or minute after minute, that's a strong indicator that this is something you need to scale back or make modifications to. All right, because most likely, if it's increasing, if you're experiencing an increase in pain as you go along, that's your body's way of telling you that this activity is irritating, and that your body's not quite built up for that or at the capacity to withstand that, and that is most likely going to lead to further possible irritation, uh, bad inflammation, and further pain and prolonged recovery process as well. So another thing is, what I want to get across is, just because you're having pain doesn't mean you have to stop that activity entirely. All right, there's so many modifications that you can make to be able to continue to work out the way that you want to with just some modifications. So for example, when a patient comes in for an evaluation, after going through the full body assessment, we sit down with the patient and map out what they can continue to do. And most of the time, patients are able to do 95% of that physical activity that they want to be doing. All right. It's not an all or nothing. The other 5%, we're just changing modifications to allow them to continue to do that. So, for example, if somebody comes in with like, this actually can't this happened to me recently. I woke up and I was having pretty bad back pain, and it's just from sleeping incorrectly and or wrong or doing something weird in my sleep that I didn't know. And I woke up and I tried to sit up out of bed, and I had excruciating low back pain, that to the point it was painful just getting out of bed. All right, and with walking. And so what I did is, I had Dr. Collin do an assessment on me. All right. Another thing too, you guys probably wonder, like, well, why don't you just, you're a physical therapist, why don't you treat yourself? So first of all, this is kind of a tangent, but there's a saying that a healthcare professional that treats himself has a fool for a patient. What that ultimately means is that even as healthcare professionals, we have our own biases. All right. And so we are going to miss things if we're treating ourselves. All right. And so, anyways, that's why I had Dr. Collin assess me. It's the same reason that we have physicians, surgeons, other physical therapists come and see us, because they understand that another set of eyes and second opinion is beneficial, because we understand that we're gonna miss things when it's our own body and whatnot. So, anyways, I had Dr. Collin assess me, and we came up with the game plan, and he allowed it. So I was wanting to get back to doing deadlifts and squats. Like, that's my big thing is weight training and strength training. And I didn't want to take like time off, and I wanted to get back into working out. And so what we did is he took me through squat progression, and we noticed that as I got deeper into the squat, I started having more pain. So guess what? We just decreased the depth of my squats. Okay. So I was just right above 90 degrees or parallel with the floor, and I was pain free. So I'm able to continue to squat and work out. And we made some other modifications too, but that, hopefully that squat example gives you an idea on, no, we didn't have to stop squatting entirely. We just make modifications. We changed up the depth that I was squatting, and we changed a little bit with my mechanics and my positioning in the squat to allow me to be pain free, because rest is not the answer. And this is what a lot of people do, is that they start having pain. What they do is they just stop working out altogether. And that is actually going to make the problem worse, because now you're with rest, especially prolonged rest, muscles are getting weaker. They're going to start atrophying. And most likely what we see with injuries is the root underlying issue with pain is imbalances and weakness. All right. And so with rest, we just become even weaker and it makes the problem worse. So you need to be able to continue to continue to work out just with the particular modifications to allow you to do that activity that you want pain-free. Another example is like for runners that want to get back to running, we have to start out slow. Usually if somebody comes in with if they're a runner and they're experiencing pain, we have them back to running at some capacity right away. We don't have them go out and run 10 miles, don't get me wrong, but we find ways to allow them to continue to do that. So for example, and this is just an example, everybody's a little bit different, but what we do is have them jog for a minute, walk for a minute, jog for a minute, walk for a minute, and do cycles of that based on their assessment and their strength and where they're at. And usually people are able to tolerate that, right? And it's not making things worse. So what they do is versus if they ran for 15, 20 minutes straight, that pain would most likely continue to increase over time. With these other runners that when they're going through the rehab process, they're like, well, I don't want to stop running. Like, we don't want you to stop running either. We just need to make modifications. So modification is jogging or running for a minute and then walking for a minute, running for a minute, jogging for a minute. It just gives your body some time to recover, recuperate, and be able to allow you to continue to run. All right. So, but the big thing is, that's really the biggest indicator is if the activity that you are doing the pain continues to increase minute after minute or mile after mile or rep after rep. Okay, that's an indicator this isn't something that you probably should be pushing through, and that is most likely making the problem worse. It's not a no pain, no gain type of thing when it comes to injuries and pushing through things. The body's very intelligent. It knows what it needs, and experiencing pain is a way your body's trying to tell you something that you should be listening to it. Okay. All right. So another big thing is, yes, you should continue to do that activity with modifications, but you also need to identify the imbalances, correct them, and then ultimately modify while you're going through that rehab process. Okay. Again, rest is not the answer. So hopefully that's the number one guideline that I go by personally, and then also have my patients and clients do as well. And it works every time. Okay. So give that a try. If you have questions, just let me know. All right. Thanks, guys.